Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're here at the World Hydrogen Expo, where I'm joined by Mr. Balashanmugam. Did I say that right?
Well done.
Who is the CEO of GH2 India. Welcome.
Thanks very much for having me, Thomas.
Could you just introduce yourself briefly and also a little bit about the organization?
Lovely. So my name is Nishaanth Balashanmugam. I'm the founding director and CEO at GH2 India. We are a non-profit foundation, and our goal is to be a unified voice for India's green hydrogen across the world. We serve as a think tank, an industry body, an advocacy body, and we try to work with the entire sector in India. What we do is in three pillars: market creation, capacity building, and enabling environment. So over the last 3 years, we've held more than 50 plus convenings, roundtables, workshops, webinars, not just in India, but also in Europe, Japan, and Korea as well.
And you told me a little bit before the interview, it's a foundation, but you're also working together with industry to sort of bridge that gap, right?
Yes. So I think wherever in the sector we see vacuum and space, we try and fill that up. And notably, our biggest efforts have been in bridging the gap between different ministries across the government.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because hydrogen traditionally was with the Ministry of Oil and Gas in India.
Okay.
The National Green Hydrogen Mission is with the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, which is a sister ministry of the Ministry of Power.
Yes.
And now in hydrogen, you're talking about offtakes with the Ministry of Fertilizers, the Ministry of Steel, the Ministry of Ports and Shipping. So you see there is this gap that exists between all of these different silos. And traditionally, these ministries worked on their own, looking at their own domain. And now suddenly hydrogen is bringing everybody together and cutting across all of these ministries and also across all of these industrial sectors.
Right.
And I think this is what I love about Korea and what they've done with the new ministry, right? The Ministry for Climate, Energy and Environment. And I think this is how the world will be in 15, 20 years. Because the future of a clean industrial economy is a clean industrial ministry. Right. And it cannot be the Ministry of Steel and the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Ports and Shipping in different silos.
Right, I've talked to several business leaders now, and I think they've all stressed the importance of cooperation because it is a developing market. And if it is going to take off and stand on its own feet, it requires cooperation between industries, between governments, and also between nations as well.
Yeah. I think that is also a very interesting perspective to bring to the table, because today, let's traditionally look at the energy sectors. It was mostly oil and gas coming out of certain geographies. Now, this new clean energy ecosystem, it shifts that power balance and resource balance, right? So countries like China and India now have an opportunity to participate in the energy economy because of the renewable energy resources we have, number one. Number two, hydrogen itself. As much as India has this potential, China has this potential, it's Korea, Japan, Taiwan, it's these economies have an hydrogen economy that already exists, right? And today, if I look at India's largest green ammonia project, which has FID, there are about 4 or 5 European partners, right? There are, of course, we all know that electrolyzers have been around for decades. Now, Indian projects are looking at European electrolyzer partnerships because that already existed over the last few decades in the chloralkali business. But now green hydrogen needs to be cost competitive with its, with whatever we're trying to replace it with. And now this is where China comes into play, because in the last 4 or 5 years, Chinese government policies and the ecosystem that they've had has brought Chinese electrolyzers in the forefront. Right now, Europeans have taken a back seat. Now, where is India going to be in the future? And this is where I think global cooperation is important, because we're not trying to decarbonize, within physical borders that I call India and you call, Korea.
Exactly.
We are all in one fishbowl. We need to decarbonize this fishbowl. So these boundaries don't matter. So how we do it should not matter, but of course, politics always takes front seat over climate.
Approach as well, yes. Right.
Exactly. So, but I think it's about balancing and navigating all of this, but global cooperation, I think, is key for the success of hydrogen.
Well, that's a great perspective for sure. I know you're going to be one of the speakers here later today and part of the roundtable. So could you give us a little sneak peek about the contents of your speech, perhaps?
So I think for me, my message is very singular. my message is about what India can offer to the world, right? Because India traditionally is it's not a country you would even think of when you think about importing energy. India traditionally it's an importer of energy itself. We never exported energy, right? At least in copious amounts, perhaps power to Bangladesh and Nepal, who are neighboring countries, but never to large economies. And before the end of the decade, India is going to start doing that. Indian green hydrogen producers have committed more than 11 million tons of projects, right? Now, because of the weak demand signals in the market, you're only seeing about 1.5 to 2 million in advanced stages in development phases. But if the market is created and there are enough policy drivers that can enable this, India will be at the forefront. And for anybody looking at China plus one, India is the option, right? And India is also well positioned geographically to export to East Asia, Japan and Korea, and also to Europe, right? The other ecosystem advantages, India has not just the renewable resource that's available, but also the manpower, right? India produces engineers by the second, right? And we all know India as the IT hub or the IT back office, but it's also the back office for clean energy. Today, Nucera has 80 people in India, and there's not a project in India they're working on. They're working on global projects. Same with Linde and Plug Power and Siemens. So India has that back end for the clean energy ecosystem with the engineers and the support that they can provide.
Okay.
In addition to that, I think the Indian government is unanimous that we have to work towards a net zero world. And for that, if any way we can contribute, is something we will do with total commitment.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting perspective how, because hydrogen is not just developed or dependent on these raw resources, suddenly players who we don't traditionally associate with it can now enter the energy market and be really active. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing your insights, and good luck with your speech.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Thomas.
My pleasure.
Cheers.